Hey, what's up everybody? BDF44 coming into another video. So, today, I have the N-word on my mind. Straight up and down, I'm thinking about the N-word. I was thinking about it last night. Um, and the reason why I have that on my mind is because I think an aspect of this conversation needs to be brought to the forefront. I don't think this angle has been brought up very much. I've never had a conversation like the one I'm about to bring up personally. So, this is my thing. The N-word is a very difficult word to gauge because it means different things in different ways, in different settings, and it's interpreted differently, but still stings just the same when it's heard. I've heard people like Adam22 mention not the word itself, but differentiate the hard ER versus the GA. I've heard Skip Bayless reference it more than 5 or 6 times, the different connotations between hard ER and GA. And while that holds a lot of weight in terms of trying to determine a person's intentions, especially as it pertains to regionally, like if it's a Caucasian person from the South, we automatically expect when we hear that ER, they're looking to wage war. But if you hear somebody like, one of the homies say it with an A, it doesn't mean the same thing. However, if that same white dude in the South uses it with an A, guess what? There's no difference. If Skip Bayless uses it with an A or ER, there's no difference. If Adam22 uses it with an A or ER, there's no difference. And that's what I'm here to tell you guys. It's a lot of conversation about the N-word and whether or not it should be used by people who don't look black, whether black people should use it themselves. I don't have a should or shouldn't opinion to share. What I am saying is, ain't no difference. There is no difference. That's it's true. There is a difference, but that difference doesn't translate to different mouths. You see what I'm saying? If it comes out of your mouth, it's still the same thing. If it comes out of my mouth, it may not be interpreted that way, and it's a conundrum of evil. That's what it is. And anybody who longs to be able to say that word recreationally needs to understand that the reason why it's such a conundrum is because it was birthed in pure hatred. And there's no real way, even though we've done it, there's no real way to remove that hatred from that word, and that's why it's so lost in translation. That's why some people think they can say it, some people can't. Some people feel like it's okay for some people to say it who look white or who look a different color, but maybe not somebody else. It's confusing because it's never going to make sense, because there's no real way to do what it is that we're trying to do, which is turn it from a negative to a positive. Not really. That's a lie that we've told ourselves that we've been able to accomplish. The reality is the hatred used with that word over 450 years cannot be converted into something positive. It can't. And that's something I'm here to tell people that I don't think a lot of people agree with today, because we have in fact taken our own destiny in our own hands as it pertains to that word. But the fact of the matter is, if the wrong person says it, it's going to sting. If the wrong person says it, it's going to put you in a position, black person, to look crazy amongst other black people for allowing that person to say it or not challenging them on saying it, whether ER or A. Now granted, if you use that ER, it's going to have some extra spice on it. You understand what I'm saying? There are going to be a great deal of black people who are going to perk out, who would may allow you to say A, GA, but are going to perk up their ears when they hear ER and be upset. It's a great deal of us like that. But what I'm telling you is, that's not a perfect science. Because you take that GA and you put it in the wrong, you say that around the wrong black people, and you're going to get the same response you get from the ER. There's no universal understanding as it pertains to this word. It's not. It's not. Some black people will allow you to say it. Others will want to fight and crash out. Others will calmly say, hey, please don't say it in my presence. There are some black people like my mom who didn't ever want to hear it out of anybody's mouth and would call a black person, a Mexican person, a white person, or anybody else using GA or ER just the same. She gonna say something. It used to embarrass me because she would do it every single time. That's the household I was raised in. I'm not even supposed to be saying that word. And I had a nice conversation with my mom before she passed about my opinion on that word and that in my use of it. And she never agreed, she never approved, and she was not happy. So that's where I'm from. However, that's not where I'm at. I use the word regularly, as you know, even though I don't use it on this camera. But I think I want to change that. I think it's where I'm at. I think because I've come to the conclusion that it can't be a universal understanding. I don't think it has any place in my vocabulary. That's what the thought has become over the last 24 hours. Reality is, I hear it from somebody, it may sting. I hear it from somebody else, it don't sting as much. I'm not comfortable with that. Because that can't be everybody. That can't be everybody. And I can't look into the heart of the person that I'm allowing to say it. I'm just assuming based on what it is I'm feeling. And maybe I'm assuming just the same in regards to the person I'm not allowing to say it. And maybe that's the wrong move as well, because they don't mean me no harm. You see what I'm saying? There's no perfect science to this, because the word itself was birthed in hatred. And the thing about it being birthed in hatred is a word, and I can't compare it to other words that may offend you in your culture. It's not my place. But what I can say is here in this country, it's been used a lot as it pertains to belittling people. The last thing they hear before they hung, the last thing they hear before something horrible happened to them. You know what I mean? Those are the things that we have to live with. And it's like, I respect all of the black people who have non-black homeboys who say the word and allow them to do it. I think that's your business. You know what I mean? But what you got to understand is, as I said, you're not doing your friend any favor if he takes that word, says it around the wrong people. Now he's in a situation. And if we love our brothers and sisters, we don't want to put them in a situation. You see what I'm saying? We don't want to allow them to think that it's okay for them to say that away from us where we can't protect them. You see what I'm saying? Because I got some homeboys and homegirls that I don't think use that word, but if they did, I'm not going to just let somebody swing at them. I'm not just going, you know what I mean? And that puts me in a difficult position. I tell those friends, if that conversation was about, I would want them to see this video as well to say, you putting me in a weird spot when you say that word around other black people, or even around myself, just to me, because it makes me feel uncomfortable. It makes me feel like I should feel uncomfortable if I'm not. You see what I'm saying? It's not just a word where I can say, oh, it's cool, it's fine. Because there's other black people looking at me saying it's cool, I'm fine, challenging my blackness for doing that. You put us in a very difficult spot when you say that word. And that's the part of the conversation I think I haven't heard a whole lot. You know? It's like, you really do put your friends in a tough position, you know? Because a lot of them don't want to tell you that it defends them. A lot of them want to be down with you. A lot of them appreciate you for who you are and don't want to make a thing out of it, but it don't feel too good hearing that shit. It don't. It don't feel good hearing it out of somebody who ain't us. Because they ain't going to be offended by it. They're not going to understand the various nuances of it. They're not going to be scrutinized by their own people. In theory, that's not my place to say, but they're not going to be scrutinized in the way that we are for allowing someone to say it. I guess that's a different type of scrutiny that they won't receive. And really, at the end of the day, if you love your brothers and sisters and your friends, then you have an understanding of what, you know what I mean, what will offend them. You know, and it's important for us to learn that. You know what I mean? And I don't go around using words that I ain't got no business using. Derogatory terms and stuff like that. I try to keep that stuff far out of my head because of the way I feel about the N-word. I don't appreciate those words coming to mind or coming out of my mouth, whatever they may be. I'm not going to sit here and say I've never uttered a racial statement. That's a lie. And I don't speak for nobody else. I hope that nobody's ever uttered a racial statement, but I know there's a lot of people who are going to say they never have who have. Not my place. All I'm going to say is I'm not for any of that racism, and most importantly, I'm not for any of the bad energy that comes with some of those words. From my perspective, the worst one is the N-word, but from yours, it may be something else. I can't call that. All I'm saying is when it comes to this word in this country, there's no universal understanding. There's no in converting it from some horrible word to something enduring. Those are lies. That's not real. We've attempted to do that. But until we can all come to a point where we allow everybody to say it equally, it hasn't lost its evil energy. It's still just attached to it just the same. And so that's what I wanted to put out there into the world. Hard, E-R-G-A. Is there a difference? Yeah, one's worse than the other, depending on who's saying it. Well, one's worse than the other in most cases, but they're both awful to hear out of people who don't look like us. And maybe we, as a human being, maybe you as a human being were fine with that, but guess what? It's a million black people gonna be looking at you like, for real, you let them do that? Or we're gonna beat him up for saying that, and you ain't gonna stop us, or even worse in some cases. So it's just, you don't want to put yourself in that position. You don't want to put your friends in that position. And Um, I just feel like that word really leaves a lot of people feeling uncomfortable about living in their own skin. They don't want to be around black people because they want to say the word because they hear it in their music. They hear everybody say it. They know it's an endearing word. They don't have no hate for us. They want to be able to say it. Maybe I'll let them say it. But them over there, they won't. And so, I'm not going to sit up here and say every black person go beat up every white person, something like that. But just the point of having to defend yourself, having to be violent in order to defend yourself from words. Just so you can say a word that people don't really want to hear. Trust me, we've romanticized that word and it didn't come from a good place in doing so. Why? Because the very notion that we're not allowing some to say it but others too, in and of itself separates people, just like racism. And it has the same effect. And listen to Adam 22 say, dang, some people get the pass. Listen to him help me understand that he wants to be able to say it. That ain't love, bro. If you love us, you don't want to say that shit. And that's what I want to express to my non-black friends. If you love us, you aren't romanticizing that word. You don't want to say that word. You don't want to be a part of that conundrum. You don't even want that energy in your mouth. That should taste like death to you. If you love us like that. So I just want to put that out there. Ain't no way that it's going to always sound good the same way to everybody. That's the point. That is the point. And I'm sorry, non-black people, especially Caucasian people, who hate the conundrum of this. I'm sorry. There's no perfect science to the situation. The best thing for us to do is to just come to a conclusion that the word should not be used and let it go. No different than other words that we do not say unless we really want to fight. And so that's what I want to say about that. ERA, just to consider it the same thing, y'all. Please do. Please do. Because in certain settings, it will be. My name is BDL44. Thank y'all for watching.